All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little San Francisco Giants video. That's right. We're going to preview the season. We're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And this video is also brought to you by LearnKey Upskill Academy, an online learning platform designed to get you job ready in 6 months or less. Whether you're interested in IT, cybersecurity, marketing, or another high demand field, they offer over 30 certification programs to help you take that next step in your professional career. They've been in business for 37 years. They've helped over 200,000 students. They place over 100 graduates every year, or I should say every month, in a pretty well-paying job. So check them out. The links are in the description. LearnKey Upskill Academy. If you're between jobs, if you're underskilled, if you don't like the job you're in, you want to make a change, check them out. I think they can help you out. LearnKey Upskill Academy. And thanks to LearnKey for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. All right, let's talk a little bit about the upcoming season. That's right. Opening day is here, and that means it's a good time to talk a little baseball. And I'm kind of excited this year about Bay Area baseball. You say, Krug, how could you be excited? The Giants are woefully worse than the Dodgers, and the A's are leaving. the A's left. They're in Sacramento, and they're on their way to Vegas. So why are you so excited? I'm going to make a prediction. The A's and the Giants will both make the playoffs in 2025. The A's had a really good second half surge last year. I think they're going to keep that momentum going. They drafted a kid named Kurtz, who I think is going to be a superstar, and I think he's going to be up right away. I think he's going to spend very little time in the minor leagues. I think Sacramento is going to give them a life and an energy and a home that they have not had. I think they were active in the offseason. I like the A's to be an AL wildcard team. I absolutely do, and I think the Giants are going to be an NL wildcard team. Now, why am I a little bit more bullish on the Giants now than I was last year? Let's talk about that, because to me, it's all about the Giants farm system, and it always has been. The Giants farm system has been a tire fire going back to the 70s. The Giants in the late 60s and early 70s produced all kinds of outfielders. Willie Kirkland, George Foster, Gary Matthews, not to mention, McCovey, Cepeda, Mays, and all the rest of the Hall of Famers. But their system produced a lot of outfielders, and then it just totally dried up, and they didn't produce hardly anything. Chili Davis and Dan Gladden over like a 30-year period. It was one of the worst farm systems ever. And then suddenly, in the late aughts, 07, 08, 09, all of a sudden, here comes Pablo Sandoval. Here comes Brandon Belt. Here comes Buster Posey. There's Joe Panic. And suddenly the Giants had a homegrown team. And now it's happening again. You look up, and the Giants farm system is starting to produce. And they're not just producing pitching, they're actually producing hitting. Elliot Ramos, last year, All-Star. Luis Matos, this is his year. Patrick Bailey, Gold Glove catcher. Tyler Fitzgerald, 2020 second baseman. Casey Schmidt's coming of age. Marco Luciano's coming of age. Bryce Eldridge is probably coming in 26. He was 19 last year, and he reached AAA. James Tibbs III, the Florida State kid, 13th pick in the 24 draft, got to high A ball last year. He's coming. That guy's going to be a big leaguer. And then this spring, I watched the Giants prospect team, and they've got some guys in the low minors that you are going to want to see and are going to be here. My favorite is a guy named Johnny Level, who is a Venezuelan shortstop who's a switch hitter. And the scouts say that Johnny Level has the potential to be a stronger Rafael Furcal. You remember Furcal. I saw Johnny Level in that preseason game. I think it was the Giants prospects against maybe the Rangers prospects. It was a MLB broadcast. I saw it from Scottsdale Stadium. Johnny Level's bat speed is awesome. This guy's got big, big tools. There's no question about it. He hit 275 with 10 home runs in only 48 games in the Dominican Summer League, the rookie level Dominican Summer League last year. Johnny Level, remember that name, Venezuelan shortstop. And if he's not the shortstop of the future, it might be Joshua Gonzalez, and I may have butchered his first name. He signed last January or this January for $2.9 million. It's 5-tool shortstop, switch hitter. Looks really, really exciting. Out of the DR, I believe. So Joshua Gonzalez, remember that name. Dakota Jordan, 4th round pick by the Giants. Big time outfielder with some serious hit tools. Rainier Arias, he's had some wrist problems, but if Rainier Arias gets healthy, he could be on the fast track. And then maybe the biggest surprise of all is Bo Davidson. Bo Davidson wasn't even drafted. All this guy, you need a 1st round pick, you need a 2nd round pick. He wasn't drafted. He went undrafted. The Giants took him out of Caldwell Community College, or signed him, I should say, out of Caldwell Community College as an undrafted player, and he is showing power and speed in the minor leagues. So Bryce Eldridge, James Tibbs, Joshua Gonzalez, Johnny Level, Dakota Jordan, Rainier Arias, Bo Davidson. Do you see what I'm saying? They're coming. They're coming. And that, we already know about the pitching. The Landon Roops and you name it. I mean, they've got a bunch of arms up and down the system. I mean, a bunch of guys. They've got such deep arms right now that they probably are 7 or 8 deep in their rotation if they wanted to be. Guys like Roop's going to get a rotation spot, but some of their other young arms are just kind of waiting in the wings at AAA. Carson Ragsdale, Carson Seymour. I'll tell you one guy who absolutely is going to be incredible to watch is Carson Whisenhunt, the 24-year-old lefty with just what Farhan Zaidi called a Bugs Bunny changeup. And, by the way, Farhan deserves some of the credit for some of these young bats. Did Farhan get it done? Well, not really. But he did improve the farm system. And now the Giants under Buster Posey are going to benefit from Farhan's improvement of that farm system. Kyle Haynes and others have been key in developing young talent in the Giants system. And Whisenhunt might reach the bigs this year. Spencer Bivens calls Whisenhunt's changeup disgusting. He says, I understand why it's an 80 pitch. Yeah. 2nd round pick Whisenhunt was in the 22 draft. And spent all of 2024 at AAA. He's a North Carolina native. He gave up his curveball for a slider. So his slider is now he's got a 2-pitch mix that's awesome. He's got a mid-90s to high 90s fastball, and he's got a changeup that's just an awesome changeup, as good as any in the game. But he switched his 3rd pitch from the curve to the slider after Bivens showed him the proper grip on the slider. And I think it's going to make all the difference in the world. Now, Whisenhunt had a 5.17 ERA and 27 starts last year in 2024 at AAA. But he had a 2.34 ERA and 14 home starts in Sacramento, and he still punched out a lot, 141 strikeouts in 109 2/3 innings. He's 92 to 94 on the fastball. He's got the elite change. Giants want to keep him as a starting pitcher, so he'll join Carson Seymour and Carson Ragsdale in the all Carson rotation down there. Carson Whisenhunt, Carson Seymour, and Carson Ragsdale. All in the Giants Sacramento AAA rotation in 2025. But Whisenhunt could make a breakthrough. He absolutely could. Another guy who I'm super excited about with the Giants this year is Luis Matos. Matos is 23. He had a great Cactus League. Broke into the bigs in 23. This winter, he played on the Venezuelan Winter League team down there for the first time. He was a rookie in the Venezuelan Winter League. He played for Ozzie Guillen, and he won the Rookie of the Year down there. Hit 300, 10 home runs, drove in 41 in only 55 games, had a 345 on base percentage. Played in front of his family for the first time as a professional. His parents, Jose Luis, and his mother, Yoelis, had their visa denied 3 times last year. So they had never seen their son play as a pro. But they got a chance to see him in the Venezuelan Winter League, and now they have brand new 10-year visas, so they'll be able to come to the States and watch Luis do his thing, and he is impressive. He's a great guy too. Wife Matos and his wife Alexandra had a baby girl, Briella, on February the 20th. So he's got that new love of his life, I'm sure. And I asked Bob Melvin. I said, "Hey, Bo Mel, what is?" I said I was at Scottsdale yesterday. I was down in Scottsdale a few weeks ago, and I said I was here in Scottsdale on Sunday, and Luis, man, he turned on one and put it out on the berm and left. I said, "What does Luis need to do to make that breakthrough this year?" And Bo Mel didn't run from it or hide from it. He's like, "Man, the guy needs to be more selective at the plate." He had a 3.2% walk rate last year. If he had the right number of at-bats or the proper number of at-bats, that would have been the second worst mark in the entire big leagues. So he's got to walk more, and he's got to see more pitches, and he's got to be more selective. If he is, he's probably an everyday player. Instead, he's going to platoon with Yaz and Wright. I saw Pablo Sandoval said of Matos, he said the talent he's got is unbelievable. He's got a bright career. This guy won the National League Player of the Week last May. He had 385, drove in 16 runs in 6 games, but then he struggled, and he was up and down in the second half of the year between the minors and the majors, and finished 213 average in 45 games. Drew only 2 walks in his first 55 plate appearances this spring. So he's got to show more patience, but Luis Matos has got a great outfield arm. He's got power. He's got speed. He can play center field. To have him play right field next to Jung-Hoo Lee is going to be a very exciting proposition. And I'm just really excited. I think Luis could just have an absolute bust-out year. He could be for the Giants this year what Ramos was for the Giants last year. So I'm really excited. As far as the team, as far as some new faces, Sam Huff beat out Max Stassi for the number 2 catcher job. He's a better offensive player. He was also on the 40-man roster. He's a former top prospect of the Texas Rangers, and he had a good spring. So look for Sam Huff to make an impact. Look for Tyler Fitzgerald moving to second base. He's got 2020 potential. Willie Adames had a really strong spring. Matt Chapman had a torrid spring after signing a brand new $150 million extension last September. The 5-time Gold Glover is at third, and he was destroying the baseball throughout the spring. So I think he's a guy to watch for sure. One down note for the Giants, Gerard Encarnacion is going to start the year on the DL. That's kind of a bummer. Casey Schmidt and Christian Koss made the team as infield bench bats, backups in the infield, and both those guys can pick it at a number of different spots. So I'm really excited to see what Casey can do this year, and Christian Koss. Koss can play multiple spots, and he plays them well. The one thing I'd love to see the Giants do, they're starting with a rotation of Logan Webb, Robbie Ray, Justin Verlander, Jordan Hicks, and Landon Roop, and they've put Hayden Birdsong in the bullpen. But Hayden Birdsong is a starter, and he was throwing 98 miles an hour earlier this spring. I'd put him in the rotation and either trade Hicks or put Hicks in the pen. If you put Jordan Hicks in the pen, man, that is going to be an incredible pen. Kyle Harrison's velocity was down from 93 to 91 miles an hour this spring, so he was optioned back to AAA. He just didn't get off to a very good start in the Cactus League, and he'll have to build himself back up. Joey Lucchese's at AAA. Sean Jelly's at AAA. Tristan Beck's at AAA. So the Giants, not to mention, Carson Ragsdale, Carson Seymour, Carson Wisna. I mean, the Giants have a really good pitching staff at AAA. The depth of the Giants' pitching is incredible. Could you imagine, though, if the Giants could put Jordan Hicks in the pen? You got Ryan Walker closing. You have Camilo Doval. You could then have Jordan Hicks in the 7th. You have Tyler Rogers, who's a totally different look from the right side. They only have the one lefty, Eric Miller, so it's going to be imperative that he stays healthy. But they added Lou Trevino. The veteran was throwing high 90s back from the A's. You got Spencer Givens, who's really pretty as a righty. Even though the Giants only have one lefty, both Spencer Bivens and Randy Rodriguez are both really good against left-handed pitching, or left-handed hitters, I should say. So I think you'll see Melvin use Bivens and Rodriguez against lefties from time to time. Joel Peguero was throwing 102. You've got Randy Rodriguez, Spencer Bivens as your long man, Trevino, Eric Miller, Tyler Rogers, Camilo Duvall, Ryan Walker. Peguero was at 102. If you could somehow put Hicks in the pen and he could regain his 106 or whatever he had, you could have just an absolute lights out pen and have Birdsong and Roop as your two young guys with Webb in your rotation, with the veterans being Robbie Ray and Verlander. So, I mean, if you look at that, if Verlander has the kind of bounce back year that some people think he's going to have, the Giants rotation might be pretty good. I mean, seriously, the rotation does not look bad on paper. The bullpen looks exceptionally deep. You got, behind the plate, you got Bailey. At first, you got a healthier platoon of Flores and Lamont Wade. You got a second baseman who may be a 2020 guy. You got a brand new shortstop who's going to strike out, but he's going to hit for power. You got Chapman with the new contract. You got Ramos full-time in left. You got a healthy Jung-Hoo. And I think Matos is busting out. By the way, the over-under on Willy Adames home runs this year, 23.5. Over-under on Willy Adames RBIs is 84.5. I like the over in both. So I like Willy Adames. Matt Chapman's over-under for home runs is 22.5. Matt Chapman's over-under for RBIs is 74.5. I think that's going to be a key. Matt Chapman has to be a whole lot better with runners on base. He's never been a good RBI guy. He's got to be a better RBI guy if the Giants are going to the playoffs. And Logan Webb's over-under on wins is 12.5 wins. His over-under on Ks is 159.5 Ks. So I like what I see. I was down in spring training. I'll give you my predictions right now. In the National League, the Phillies win the East, the Cubs win the Central, the Dodgers win the West. The Braves and the Diamondbacks are the two wild cards, and the Giants will battle the Reds for that third wild card spot, and I say the Giants get it. So I'm going to go Phillies, Cubs, Dodgers, Braves, Arizona, Giants as my wild cards. In the American League, the Rays are going to win the East. Cleveland's going to win the Central. Bochy's Rangers are going to rebound and win the West. The A's, the Red Sox, and I can't decide between Kansas City and Detroit. I think I'm going to lean with Kansas City are going to be the wild cards. A's, Boston, and Kansas City in the wild cards. Rays, Cleveland, and Texas are the division winners. MVPs. MVP in the National League, Ellie De La Cruz. 25 homers. I think he's going to steal 80 bags. MVP in the American League, Bobby Witt Jr. of the Royals. Cy Young in the National League, Corbin Burns, Arizona Diamondbacks. Cy Young in the American League, Garrett Crochet of the Red Sox. Rookie of the Year in the National League, Roki Sasaki. Dodgers righty is going to win the Rookie of the Year. Rookie of the Year in the American League, Nick Kurtz. A's first-round pick last year. I think is going to rise up, go to Sacramento, and have a great year. That guy can flat out rake with power. Nick Kurtz wins the Rookie of the Year. And my surprise teams are the Giants and the A's. So my surprise managers of the year are Bo Mel and Mark Kotsay. All right, there you go. There's our baseball Giants preview for 2025. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to LearnKey Upskill Academy for sponsoring this video. The links are in the description below. And thanks to all of you for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.